Hairdressing throughout history has defined and given an image to certain periods of time. Ancient Egyptians had hieroglyphs drawn of hairdressers clearly expressing the relevance of their job even in those times. This community of hairdressers would cut hair, make wigs, and address other needs for the more wealthy individuals of their civilizations. The practices and techniques have changed since the ancient Egyptians over the course of 5,000 years to the more modern practices we know today. But the continued need in society has stayed consistent. I currently belong to a community of hairdressers right here in Kansas City. We keep the professional theme alive by obtaining special skills and helping the surrounding community meet their hair goals. Today, I will inform my audience how far back the history of hairdressing goes, the evolution of the need in society, and the contemporary problems we face today being a part of this community in modern times. First, I will discuss the history of the profession and how it has evolved and branched off from ancient times to modern times by 21st century understanding of hair chemicals and the need for school training. Then I will express how hairdressers work and live with the advancements of salon chemicals and the problems they face in our current society. I've already established how hairdressers aren't a modern creation because they were around in ancient times performing much of the same practices of cutting hair and creating a specific look. Hairdressing became more of a job in salon doing women's hair when barbershops became a more male's domain hair career. The job has expanded from just cutting hair and making wigs to hair chemical services and the ability to do nails and skincare, while barbers, on the other hand, specialize in men's haircuts. According to the Small Business Development Center Network, the United States hair care industry includes about 86,000 establishments, with 82,000 being beauty shops and 4,000 being barber shops. This clearly shows there is not a shortage of hairdressers to the hairdressing community, and there isn't a shortage of jobs in the field. When hairdressers mainly focused on doing women's hair, they eventually developed deeper into creating a longer lasting look. This led to the booming world of hair chemical services. These chemical services created a more permanent altered look to your hair. Chemical waving, also known as perms or permanents, first became introduced in the late 1800s and then more perfected in the early 1900s. They were used to create a more permanent curl or wave in the hair. The chemical used was pneumonia thioglycolate, which breaks down the natural bonds of the hair, then rebuilds them to the desired curl pattern. Although also hydrogen peroxide became a main chemical in hair color to alter the color when mixed with pneumonia. The development of modern hair chemical practices has grown tenfold in the last century from numerous competing companies and a need for safer, softer chemicals. Hairdressers of modern times are required by state laws now to have a license before being allowed to practice hairdressing in a salon. The State Board of Cosmetology requires background knowledge in all techniques of styling hair and understanding of the chemicals used in modern hairdressing, such as colors and perms. In Kansas, you currently need 1,500 hours of schooling training, then you must pass a practical and a written test to get your actual license and enter this community of hairdressers. State laws vary depending on region on technical school hours. New York State Board of Cosmetology only requires 1,000 hours of schooling, and according to Washington State Board of Cosmetology, you need 1,600 hours to get your license. Hairdressing communities can vary depending on demographics and the need of the people living within those demographics, utilizing the communities. Which brings me to current contemporary problems of our community. With a need for a lower cost of products by consumers, a more at-home movement popped up in department stores and by off-brand beauty companies. This included box hair dyes and chemical services made to be done without a professional. They aren't made with the same chemical components, but instead with cheaper alternative chemicals made with fillers and without the professional guarantee of a salon service. This is a strong competitor to my community, but without a salon quality guarantee, people do often find themselves back in salons needing a more professional's help. But according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, hairdressing is expected to rise around 17% by 2022. So growth in the field is still expected. Hairdressing is sometimes thought of a lower on the job hierarchy scale, but yet more trust is openly given to a hairdresser than a lawyer sometimes. People are willing to put so much trust in them to give them a more promising look. You wouldn't let just anyone cut your hair. You find trust in a professional, and oftentimes people find trust in a certain hairdresser and continually go back. This is what has kept a certain need for hairdressers in society throughout history. Hairdressing isn't always just as glamorous as it looks, though. Another threat my community faces is an overexposure on a daily basis to certain chemicals, which can find themselves airborne and can cause skin irritations. Years of overexposure to salon chemicals can lead to contact dermatitis or hand eczema. These can develop at different rates for different people depending on how sensitive your skin is to certain chemicals. Arthritis is another common threat because of repetitive hand movements on a daily basis. But with proper understanding of certain chemicals and proper protection from damaging chemicals, this can be prevented for future members of my community. Also, a better understanding of ergonomics can help save anybody from discomfort problems. Hairdressers have maintained a place in society for thousands of years, though, so they must be doing something right. And so today, I informed my audience how far back the history of hairdressing goes, the evolution of the need in society, and the contemporary problems we face today being a part of this community in modern times. I briefly explained the history and the branch off of barbers that made hairdressing become a more salon catering to women's hair career, which then was followed by an evolution in salon chemical services and requirements of proper schooling. Then I explained many of the problems hairdressers face today, living and working in have been and will be an important part of society as long as we always have hair. Thank you.